welcome to the Psychic Coffee Shop. I'm Ace tonight, and with me tonight is Miss Sophia Light. She's back with us again. We've got a really interesting show tonight. We're going to be talking about astrology, and if the stars are really stacked against you, and you really just someday should just go back to bed. So,
hey, Ace.
How are you, honey?
I'm good, baby. How are you?
Oh, I'm rocking it as normal, doing really well. There's been some heartwarming stories in our news feed this week. Why don't you take the first one?
Oh, we're talking about our animals, and I love animals.
Yes.
I do. I love the animals. Well, being the animal lover that I am, I have 6 cats and 3 dogs, and I know you've got plenty up your way, too.
Mm-hmm.
But I have learned that there is a company that takes animals, cats and dogs both, to other areas of the world, other states, to no-kill shelters to get them adopted out, which I think that's absolutely fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
Because it tears my heart up when you talk about euthanizing. To me, they're babies.
Yeah.
And I know to a lot of people out there, they're their babies. But I have just such a soft heart for these animals, and for them to take these animals even to other states to get them adopted into a good, loving home. That just makes my heart feel so good. But it's called the Wings of Rescue Group.
Yes, and, they've actually, up until today, because I checked their numbers, they're up to 1,000 puppies and kitties being delivered all over the U.S. since Thanksgiving. That's a lot of animals.
That is a lot of animals, and they're going to good homes, and I just absolutely love the work that they're doing.
Mm-hmm. And they're based out of Wood Hills, California, and it's ran by pilots. This is a charitable season, and, I'm into a lot of different charities and active in a lot of them, doing different things for them. But, everybody's shopping Amazon for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something I didn't know, is that you can actually support your charity and shop on Amazon through smiles.amazon.com. It's the exact same thing, except 0.5% of your spending goes to your designated choice charity. And Wings of Rescue,
mm-hmm.
You can choose them. You can choose a local charity. We have local ones here, like the local animal and shelters. You can choose any other charity you like. They have like a page of like 3,000, and then you just go and do your shopping.
That is absolutely fabulous.
Everything. It's just free money for the charity, which I think is totally cool.
See, I didn't know that either. And I spend a lot of money on Amazon, as you well know. So
I know, honey. I saw those.
Smiles, so we can do the kitty cat and the dog thing.
Mhm. Well, you better be getting a fruitcake for that UPS guy, because he about knows you by first name by now.
Yes, he does. I know when he's coming, and he comes to the door and he says, "You got more packages." So, yeah. I think his name's Doug. He told me, but I'm thinking his name's Doug, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I figure he's just got it down it's a Tuesday.
Yeah, me and Doug's going to be really good friends during this season.
So definitely take advantage of that, pull everything together, and use that Amazon, especially if you're Amazon Prime, so you're going to get free shipping. You're going to help a charity, and you're going to get the same thing you would have got just going through normal Amazon. I don't know why they have to make it a big, different site.
I don't know either.
It's totally cool.
Yeah, spread the word, because I didn't realize that either. And I'm an Amazon shopaholic.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, I
word.
didn't either until I looked at Wings of Rescue, and I think it's really cool that pilots, because, Sophia's son is a pilot, and, he's flying all over the place, and, I think it's really cool that this is an organization where pilots said, hey, we can fly them. We'll take them here, take them there, who needs kitties, because recently there was a company, and I don't know what the name of the company was because I just heard it through, rumor, that just sponsored all the adoption fees, whatever, for a day. And they ran out of kitties. And I'm like,
yes, they did.
What?
And not only did they drop the adoption fees, but they were spayed or neutered, and they gave them their first shots.
Right. Which is normally what happens when you rescue an animal. The shelter, that fee you're paying is actually to go through that. And while we're talking about this is something most people don't know. A lot of people support the ASPC. Mm-hmm. It really doesn't support the shelters. The money that you support goes into their fund to do their rescues in like bigger cities like Houston and stuff. So if you're a rural area like here in West Virginia, ASPC money ain't going to your shelter. It only goes to their shelters, and most of their shelters are in the South.
Yeah, we need like a rescue site around here, but that's a deal for another day. But yeah, I also give to most of the animal stuff. I go to there is a site that you go on and you can just click on it, and you've got this little button to click. I think it's Home for Animals or something. And if you click on it, then they give a free bowl of food to whichever shelter that you're working with. Cool. And also, if you go on there and buy stuff, part of that money goes to the shelters as well.
That's awesome.
Like a lot of neat stuff. I love it.
Yeah, and this is happening more and more. It's kind of a triple thing. Dig Deep is another shelter. They are this year working with digging wells on Navajo reservations and getting running water into these people's homes. And you can go on their site and shop through it, and they're handmade items by the Navajo Indians. The money goes directly to, whatever you say. If you want to buy a faucet, you pay for a faucet. You're going to get, a handmade item that's unique, one of a kind, and then you're going to be able to give that as a gift. So, there's a lot of ways of, win-win-win situations. You just have to do your research on them.
Right. And there's the site that I was talking about where you can just push a button and not buy anything is called the animalrescuesite.com.
Cool. I think that's awesome. And, Purina does a big thing for it, because most of the shelters, at least here locally, use Purina food because it's given to them through Purina. And if you're buying Purina's food for your dog or cat, half that bag, you're actually buying a bag and a half because that half bag goes onto the shelter.
Fabulous.
Yes. And, I remember this being a big thing when I was a kid about how the bald eagles were endangered. Well, guess what? They're not endangered anymore.
I know. I read something about that. And that is absolutely... Have you seen... Well, I haven't seen one like in close proximity, but the pictures of them online, they're just absolutely fabulous, magnificent animals.
They're gorgeous, gorgeous animals. Aren't you glad you didn't get the turkey?
Yes.
Thank goodness Benjamin Franklin got voted down for the turkey. But let's stepping outside the borders, taking by viral storm this week was the Canadian brothers who actually rescued a bald eagle, and it literally went everywhere. And all they did was take photos as they were helping this bald eagle out of it that was stuck in a trap. They just rolled the video, and it's like taking by storm. There's been a lot of support thrown towards the eagles because after they went off the endangered list, a lot of the rescues and a lot of the things lost their funding because they were no longer endangered. So it's like, But, they pulled together. They've done really well with that. And
I saw that video, and it was just heartwarming.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting to see the people, that are actually going and doing things.
Yeah, because unfortunately, if it would have left there, it probably would have either froze to death or starved to death or something.
Or died.
The way that it was that was laying there.
Right.
So I think it's fabulous that they went in and helped that little creature. I love it. And when he held him up, it was so beautiful.
He was on wonderful, and I'm so glad that they were able to release him. And back into the wild, because a lot of animals that get into those situations aren't able to be released. They have to have permanent homes. There's a crow rescue in the UK because they have so many crows and ravens over there that get damaged and injured, and they can't be released back into the wild because they'll die.
Mhm. Well, I think it's in New Mexico that they have a wolf sanctuary too.
Mhm. They have a wolf sanctuary in New Mexico. Wildcats, I believe, is in Arizona. That's another good one that I back and support because they take in the wildcats that either A, have grown up in captivity and can no longer be kept for various reasons, or has, been neglected, mistreated, the list goes on and on.
Right.
And, they take and bring them in and keep them for life. And, granted, yeah, it's kind of like a zoo environment for their protection and, the human caretaker's protection, but it's also for everybody else involved, and they do really well. I really like following them on Facebook and getting to watch, like, big tigers and all that.
Oh, I love them. Oh, my gosh. Love them, love them. I mean, that's absolutely wonderful. We have a lot of good charities for animals, and it's just a delight to see that somebody's doing something.
Right.
So I think it's a great thing.
And it's really a good thing for that. It's really a good thing. And check your charities out. Make sure that the money you're sending there actually is going to do what you think it is.
Mhm. Yeah, because unfortunately, some of these charities have CEOs that make a whole heck of a lot of money,
a lot more.
Very little of it goes to what is needed, unfortunately.
Right. Very much.
Check them out.
Check them out. There's a lot of Google them. They'll tell you what they spend, where they spend, all that, because it's new public information.
And how much they make.
And how much they make.
How much the CEO makes.
The CEO makes. And where your money's going, because if you're wanting to do something good, you want to make sure it goes out there somewhere to do the good you intended to. All right.
Right.
Well, we got a guest this week to talk about astrology. Why don't you? I'm going to go ahead and bring her out of the green room. Why don't you do some intro?
Okay. Hello. Hi, this is Pamela Rodriguez. She has been a gifted psychic for more than 30 years. She was guided by her grandmother. She is an astrologist. She also works with pendulums and other types of tools, including spirit animals and tarot. And so she's been at it a very, very long time, and she's very talented. So welcome, Pamela.
Hi, Sapphira. Hi, Asen. How are you guys doing?
Doing good, honey. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and, how you really got into astrology itself?
Well, like Sapphira was saying, I was kind of nurtured by my paternal grandmother. I was raised in a time when this sort of thing was kind of odd, and my parents were not very supportive of me, but luckily I had my grandmother who kind of nurtured me along, and this all started when I was about 3 or 4, and then about when she realized that I had some sort of a gift. And then when I was about 8, she gave me a calendar based on astrology. And I was completely enchanted by it and hooked. And I've spent the rest of my life, and it's a constant learning process. You never learn everything there is to know about astrology. There are things that I still don't know. But that's where I started, and I've been learning ever since, and I just love it.
Cool.
That is fabulous, and it's done you well.
Yeah, it's really, it helps people. I mean, it doesn't tell you how to live your life, but it gives you little insights into what you can do, what may be coming down the road. It's just a really nice thing to have kind of in your arsenal of how you want to live your life and how to make the most of everything.
Right.
Right. Well, with people, now they read horoscopes, a daily horoscope. Is that different from like having a natal chart done? What's the difference between those two?
Yeah, you're talking about like the horoscopes you find in the paper or the apps that you can get on your phone now. Yeah, those are fun. They're entertaining. And for the most part, they do speak to the specific sign that they're talking about. But that is something completely different. A natal chart, or also known as a birth chart, is a chart that is done by an astrologer, and horoscopes tend to, the ones that you read in the paper, they speak about the present or the future. The natal charts kind of speak about what happened at the very moment that you entered this plane of existence, what was going on in the sky with the planets, their relation to the Earth and to you as you entered this world, and kind of gives you a snapshot of what you may be like or how your life may be in the future. So it's really interesting, very complicated. There's a lot of aspects that go into it. And obviously they can't put all of that in a newspaper, so they reduce it down to a very generic-based thing, which you may or may not find some accuracies in, depending. But the natal charts are much more accurate and really speak to you as a person.
So, you spoke of the planet. How do they really affect us?
The planets? Okay, well, each planet carries a set of characteristics or influences that affect us, not only at our time of birth, but on a daily and sometimes hourly basis. Kind of depends on where the planets are in the sky and how they interrelate to each other and the Earth. So it exerts influences on us in a lot of different ways, but some noted scientists feel it has something to do with the Earth's magnetic and energetic field. Of course, we're all energetic beings, and we're very susceptible to these changes in the field. So just as a for instance, Venus, that's the planet of love and pleasure, romance, emotional attachments, marriages, that sort of thing. Venus also rules Taurus and Libra. So if you were born, say, Venus in your fourth house, and the houses are part of the zodiac, the fourth house is all about home and family, that would tell an astrologer that love is going to be a very central part of your life, and you're very likely to be very successful in love and relationships in your adult life. So it speaks to the then, it speaks to the present, and it speaks to the future. It's very interesting. So
right.
That's very interesting. But what is the science behind it? I mean, how do you know what rules what and what energies are with what?
Yeah,
is there a history or a science behind that?
Yeah, you know what? You're going to talk to different people who will give you different answers for that. But for the most part, I tend to believe, because I tend to have a scientific mind and I'm kind of analytical. I'm Cancer, which is really a conflict to me, but I work it out. And astrology is a science, but it really kind of depends on your definition of science. If you're looking for laws, predictability, objectivity, then you might not consider astrology a science. But if you're like me and you feel there's a little bit more to it than what's tangible, then astrology does become more scientific than not. For example, climatology, that can't completely be proven. It's based on past experiences, plotting, graphs, things like that, but it's a predicted thing. It's not based in fact. You can't sit and say, yeah, we're going to have a thunderstorm at 2 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. They have, they plot it out and they try and figure it out. And that's kind of the way that astrology is too. Probably the closest sciences that relate to astrology are cooking and horticulture, which cooking has a lot to do with chemistry, but there's also an art form to it, and that's a lot of what astrology is as well. Art and science kind of mixed together.
Well, what I found interesting, and I've always found this interesting with astrology, is, it used to be required to be taught at universities. If you went to university, you had to take astrology like you had to take Latin.
Yeah.
So, and what, that's just amazed me, how, it's always been on that mystical side, but it's still based within the logical scientific world of, okay, this is the ecliptic of the planet. This is how this planet rotates.
Right.
I think a lot of it has...
There's actually a combination of sciences that go into astrology: astronomy, psychology, physics, some meteorology goes into it. So it is based in a lot of different sciences, but it's not objective. It can be very subjective. So some might dismiss it as a true science, but I think it's more science than not, I think.
Well, I've always looked at it through quantum physics view of gravity, that no matter, if one thing is pulling, then another thing has to be pushing.
Exactly. Okay. I'm a big follower of quantum physics.
Yeah, and so therefore, everything is going to affect us because we're getting some of that gravitational tide one way or another.
Exactly.
But what's always gotten me is, does birth time really matter?
Birth time does matter, and I'll tell you why. If you want a very in-depth, personalized look at astrology, birth time influences especially one very strong aspect of your natal chart, and that's your ascendant or rising sign. The ascendant sign within your chart can change about every 2 hours in a 24-hour period. So, for instance, like I said, I'm a Cancer. I'm a three-way Cancer. My sun, moon, and ascendant are all in Cancer. If I said I was born at 5 p.m., when in reality I was born at 5 a.m., my ascendant might be interpreted to be Capricorn, not Cancer at all. The ascendant is the person that you present to the world, or the world interprets you as being. So it's a really, really important aspect for you and how you approach the world and how the world approaches you. So there's a vast difference between a Cancer and a Capricorn. You really need to know that birth time, and it's really problematic if you start estimating it. So there are some astrologers actually that can plot your ascendant based on characteristics. It's not completely accurate, but they can sometimes get pretty close as to what your ascendant might be if you don't, in fact, have your birth time. So.
Right. Yeah, because I was thinking, medieval times they didn't have birth times. You had to go down to the, local castle and count the sun rays or something to that effect. And so that kind of came about in the early 1900s when birth time became more feasible.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, what is your opinion about the people, and, if it differs, because I've talked to a number of astrologers and I'm studying some myself, but what about induced birth versus instead of natural birth times?
Yeah, that's a sticking point for a lot of astrologers. There's some in the camp that believe that induced birth is tempting fate or maybe not accurate. Personally, I think induced or natural, it doesn't matter. I feel we're all guided in our lives to do what we need to do at the moment we need to do it. A birth that's induced, for me, holds the same significance as a natural birth because I believe the soul incarnating. And prior to our incarnation in this world, we choose when our birth is going to happen. And we have destinies to fulfill and fates to accomplish. And birth is the beginning of that fate and destiny. Sometimes induction is done to fulfill this destiny. And your parents will be led to do that. So I don't think, to me, there's nothing as far as chance. I mean, when it comes to astrology, there's nothing, a chance doesn't have anything to do with it. There's another camp that believes that when the fetus is in utero, of course the brain is still developing, and it has yet to experience any energetic field on Earth or in the heavens. It's essentially protected from these energies by the amniotic fluid. So in other words, it's a blank slate. Once that protection is removed and birth occurs, the brain's bombarded with these energies and then pre-programmed to be influenced by the energy and the universe. So there's a couple of different camps there, depending on who you talk to.
Right. That's why, we were looking for your opinion on that. Are there any really bad planets or really good planets that, in a chart, or maybe even just totally bad charts?
No, absolutely not. I think all planets, like you and I, we have our good characteristics and our not so good characteristics, but they all still coalesce to make who you are. We learn from the good, or we learn from the not so good, and we celebrate the good. The natal chart breaks down those characteristics. It gives you clues, and if you know the bad aspects of a planet that's maybe influencing you, you can counteract that a little bit. And the same goes with charts. I've been doing charts for 30-some years, and I have yet to do a chart that has me run screaming from the room that, oh, my God, doom and gloom. It just doesn't work that way. There's good and bad, and any astrologer worth her stars or his stars is going to help you overcome those negative aspects of your chart, and we all have them. Nobody here has a perfect birth chart or natal chart, or nobody, not even, kings and royalty. They all have their negative aspects. So it just, like anything in life, I think it depends on how you approach it.
Okay.
Well, what about most people talking about the good and the bads? And I understand that because you have to have the bad to celebrate the good. You've got to understand both aspects there. But they say that when your Saturn return hits, that you are usually in a better place than you were before, and you're ready to take on that next step in your life.
Yeah. Saturn's a pretty progressive planet, and this is a sign that, things may start to change for you, things will get better, or that your journey is following the correct path. And it's all in relation. Of course, it also relates to other planets and the aspects and, the squares and the trines and things like that. But overall, generally, I would say that that's a really good sign for you.
Okay. Well, let's take a real quick commercial break and come back, and we'll finish this up with a little bit more discovering into astrology.
Lots of good stuff.
Lots of good stuff. So please hold for our commercial and station break.
Are you at a crossroads in your life? Or are you feeling stuck and not sure where to turn? We can help. Visit our website at psychic.biz from your computer, smartphone, or tablet, where you can get accurate readings and insight by speaking with any one of our tested advisors. We offer live chat, video sessions, one-on-one phone calls, and even email readings. We have several gifted psychics, tarot readers, astrologers, and other healers from around the world who are available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Your initial chat is always free, and our psychics do offer special prices and low per-minute rates. Visit us today at psychic.biz and get the guidance you need today for your tomorrow.
Well, welcome back. Yeah, we have real short commercial breaks on Blog Talk and YouTube, but then when we go over to, we actually get rebroadcasted over on the Magic Happens Now radio station, and we're about a week delay over there. But hello, Magic Happens people. Thanks for joining us.
Hello.
And
Hi.
Pamela, you're on Psychic Biz too, aren't you, sweetheart?
Yeah, I am. I actually just started working for them a couple weeks ago, I guess.
Fabulous.
Yeah. Fabulous.
Yeah, I love
me
it.
and Sophia's
it's a
over
great
there.
platform.
And yeah, it's a really good platform. They treat us great. So what's the deal with these cuss people? Are they just bi-signed?
Oh, good question. This is another one that you might get some controversy about. I personally believe very strongly in cuspers, and the reason, up until I married my husband, I didn't pay a lot of attention to cuspers, but he is one, in fact. And if he was not one, I can tell you, I'm not so sure that we'd be happy with each other. He's an Aries. He was born in Aries, but he was born on the cusp of Taurus. So that kind of calms him and grounds him. Aries and water signs, Cancer being one of them, don't necessarily see eye to eye a lot of times. But anyway, the cusp of any sign begins approximately 3 days prior to the beginning of the next sign, and it also extends 3 days past the end of a sign. So you've got about a 6-day window there where you could have a cusper. And this simply means that though you were born to a specific sun sign, you may take on traits of the following or previous sign, depending on where you fall. And again, it's not cut and dry. It depends a lot on a lot of the aspects of your whole chart taken as a whole. You may notice these qualities very plainly in a person, or they may be very subtle that you don't really notice them. It depends a lot of other things, not just that you were born in this 3 or 6 day window. So I don't think they're necessarily by a sign or anything. They kind of take on a different life. A lot of times you'll run into somebody that says, oh, I'm an Aquarius, but they don't act like an Aquarius at all. Well, you start looking at it and you'll see sometimes that either their ascendant is in a much different sign, or their moon may be in a different sign, or they're a cusper. And so it kind of changes them a little bit, but they still have the inherent qualities. And also there are some more dominant signs within the zodiac that really do make an appearance in a cusper. For instance, if you're a cusp on Leo, if you're a Virgo and you're a cusp on Leo, Leo's a very dominant sign. Chances are you're going to notice that in somebody.
Right.
So it's a very valid placement, and I put a lot of stock into it.
Okay. Well, what about these retros? We've covered Mercury on retrograde. My God, it affects this. I think, we've got to have a triple Mercury retrograde on this show and other shows.
It's like hell, Mercury.
Do all planets do it? What's the deal?
Well, yeah, Mercury is a great retro because it's going to affect communication, which is what your program is completely about. Retrogrades, this is where it can get a little scientific, actually. You follow astronomy. All the planets move around in our solar system in a forward progression. Never does this change. This is called direct or prograde. This is always the case. They're always forward progressing. But from our vantage point here on Earth, occasionally a planet, or sometimes even more than one, will appear to either go stationary, which is not moving, or go retrograde, which means the planet appears to be moving backwards in the sky. Now, do planets really move backwards? No, they don't. This is an illusion. And the closest I can come to describing this is, say you're in a car going 55 miles per hour, and you pass a car going 53 miles per hour. As you pass the car, first it appears to stand still, and then as you overtake it, it almost seems to be moving backwards. And that's what's happening here. It has a very strong effect on our energetic fields when this happens. And with the Mercury retrograde, because Mercury is a planet of communication, all communications from electronic to just good old person-to-person communication, misunderstandings, delays, that kind of thing are going to show up. We just actually went through a Pluto retrograde, which is a planet, I don't think they recognize it as a planet anymore, but it's at the edge of our solar system. So its retrograde lasts much longer than Mercury, which is usually about 30 or 40 days. Pluto retrograde lasts for a couple months. And what you see a lot in a Pluto retrograde, which actually happened from April to September this year, people find that they're drawn to alternative forms of healing, cleansing, detoxing. They start exercise programs. They start eating healthier. It makes you more aware of what you're doing to yourself and helps you to maybe counteract that a little bit. So that's what you see like on a Pluto retrograde. And each planet is different, but eventually they usually all do go retrograde at some point during some time in your lifetime. And it can affect us, but it's not a bad thing. I mean, Mercury retrograde can cause all kinds of problems. But if you stop and go within and reflect on yourself, usually you can come up with some pretty good answers about things that were maybe troubling you or problems that you've got in your life or things that you want to change about yourself. So I think they're good things.
Right. You know, you were talking about Pluto possibly being a planet, not being a planet. When it comes to astrology, they have 10 planets. You want to cover like the deal with the moon and the sun, and I guess we can now group Pluto into that bunch of not planets, but when you talk to an astrologer, they're planets.
Well, I like Pluto.
Yeah.
I think it should be a planet.
I do too. I was kind of disappointed that they removed it from planet status because I do think it should be a planet. I'm not sure their reasoning. I didn't read up a whole lot on it. I just kind of got upset with the whole thing. But the sun and the moon, for convenience sake, astrologers will refer to them as planets when they're really not at all. We know that the sun is a star. They're actually considered what they call them luminaries because they provide a bright light for us. So usually when you're referring to a planet in astrology, it will include these luminaries, but that's just more for convenience sake. But they do have a profound effect on us. They still do have their energetic fields. And the moon is very, it really connects with us, and it affects our tides and things. There are animals that do things by the moon, by the force that's exerted over them, and they do it time and time again. I believe that there are turtles that lay their eggs during the full moon, and they don't lay them at any other point. It has to be during the full moon. So it's quite interesting. Even though they're not planets, they are treated as such.
Okay. You know, we're getting ready to start taking calls here in a minute, but I had one other couple more questions for you.
Go for it.
Have you noticed that certain people gravitate to certain parties? I.e., a friend of mine is a Leo, and she is surrounded by Virgos. Everybody in her life that's a primary is a Virgo.
Yeah, I see that constantly. In fact, it's very prominent in my life as well. I have Aries coming out my ears, and they just drive me crazy. Also, I'm very attracted to Geminis, even though they hurt me terribly. So, people gravitate towards certain signs. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're a good sign for you. But for some reason you feel a connection with them. And sometimes if you explore that and if you read up on that sign and what it's all about, you might see that. Or if you look in your natal chart, sometimes you'll see an overabundance of, say, a certain sign, Sagittarius. If you see a majority of your planets are in Sagittarius, that may be one of the reasons that you're drawn to them. And also, if your Venus is in Sagittarius for your natal chart, you might naturally fall in love with the Sagittarius. And that's just, so
it's the gravitation behind it.
It is. It's kind of fascinating to look at it. Like I said, there's a lot of psychology that's involved with this, and that's sometimes what it comes down to when you're talking about things like who you're drawn to and who you fall in love with and things like that. So, yeah, definitely.
So what's an average astrology reading on the phone with psychic.biz? What's your average time with them?
Oh, it depends. If they just want like a forecast or a horoscope, that's going to take me less time. If you want a full natal chart done, that's something that I don't normally do on the phone or in chat because it is so intensive. Remember back in Babylon and the Roman times, astrologers were serious mathematicians, and that's because you need a strong math background to plot and calculate a lot of the stuff, and that's just not realistic to do on the phone. So I typically do those with email readings and such like that. But it takes a fair amount of time to do an accurate, full-on natal birth chart.
Okay. And, clients can order this through email with you, or?
Absolutely. I love getting email requests. I go above and beyond what's required usually. I spend a lot of time doing it because it is absolutely fascinating and compelling to me, these things. And inevitably, when I do a natal chart for somebody, they'll come back and say, oh, my God, you hit me. It's like you have known me since I was born. And it all has to do with these influences that the planets exert on you.
Right. And, right now we have a promo code. The promo code is coffee. So, you can contact Pamela and get your astrology done. And, with the promo code of coffee, you're going to get $10 free. If you're new to psychic.biz, you're going to get another $5 on that free. And then, you make a deposit of $15. That's $30. So you can actually get a lot of in-depth information there. Now we're going to start taking short mini readings. Do you want to stay for that, or do you have to go get a chart to go do? Do you have to go?
I'll stay. No, I'd love to stay.
Okay. We normally ask for your name and birth date. Do you need birth time too, honey, or are you good with just the birth date?
The birth date is fine.
Birth date? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to hop in. The first one will be 207.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, my name is Tom.
Hi, Tom.
And I'm calling from northern Maine. I was born on January 27th, 1959, in Queens, New York, at 11:52 a.m.
Wow, you know it all.
And I just wanted to know what you see coming up for me.
Do you have a particular area of interest?
Yeah.
Well, yes, I plan on taking a trip out of state within the next 6 weeks, and I was very interested in how that was going to go for me.
Tom, is this going to be a pleasure trip?
Not really. Well, a little of both.
Okay, I was going to say, I see some pleasurable things happening on this trip for you. Aquarians are very, and you're an Aquarian, are very, this doesn't surprise me. You probably enjoy traveling. You like meeting new people. You like pushing the boundaries a little bit. You're very forward-thinking. And there does look to be some travel in your future. So how long from now is this going to happen? Is this a long time away?
No, about 6 weeks.
6 weeks, okay. Yeah, I see there's going to be, you're probably going to be very, business-wise, it's going to be quite successful for you, but there's going to be time for some pleasurable experiences too. So take the time wherever you're going to experience the culture, and you may meet somebody that's going to be very important to you in the years to come.
Really? Wow. I'm going to see some estranged family members, and I'm not really sure how that's going to go.
Is that what this trip may have something to do with?
Yes.
Yeah. I would, if I were you, stand your ground. I'm not exactly sure what happened here, but I feel like you were in the right, and maybe somebody has maybe mistaken something you did or said for not really what occurred. You know what I mean? There was some miscommunication that was going on here.
Yes.
Stand your ground. Yeah, because I think that what you were doing was okay. It shouldn't have been taken the way it was taken and caused this rift. And I think that if you can communicate the true nature of it, I think you're going to see a resolution, at least with some of the family members. And so this is maybe the success that I'm seeing here, but definitely kind of stand your ground. Don't be immovable or anything, but I definitely feel that you were okay. It's somebody else that's taking what you did not quite the way it was meant.
You hit that right on the head.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, go for it. Be very confident. You're very confident anyway. Aquarians have an amazing ability to communicate too. So if you can communicate this stuff to them, I think they're going to listen to you.
That's good.
Yeah.
I need to do a lot of communicating when I go down there. I'm going down.
I'm sorry, what?
Hello?
I'm going down to New York.
You're going down to New York from Maine?
Yes.
Yeah, just use that communication skill. And you're also, you're a good listener. And if you can get somebody to listen to you and you communicate, listen back, I mean, it's just going to be a back and forth. And I really see that this could be quite successful.
Wow. Well, thank you very much.
Oh, you're more than welcome, Tom. Good luck with it.
Thank you. And have a nice holiday.
You too.
Sweetheart.
Bye.
All right. Our next one will be area code 862.
Wow, where's that?
Hi, caller.
Hi.
Hello? Hi.
Hi.
Who's this?
This is Jackie.
Hi, Jackie.
That's New Jersey.
In New Jersey, awesome.
Yes.
You're just up the coast from me. I'm in Georgia.
Yes. And I got everything around me. I got Leos. I got 2 Leos from a distance. Thank God. I have 2 Aries.
Oh, my goodness.
1 close and 1 from a distance.
Okay.
A Sagittarius, an Aquarius, and I'm a Capricorn.
And you're a Capricorn. Well, the good thing here is you're the grounding influence to a lot of these other very passionate signs. Sagittarius, Aries, and Leo. They can, their passion sometimes rules, and you can calm that down and ground them. So
I forgot
if
one Taurus.
And a Taurus. Well, he may help you with the grounding process. Taurus are notorious for that. But Capricorns, you probably have an amazing sense of humor, and you can win anybody over with your dry sense of humor, and you're very grounded. You're very steadfast, and when something needs to get done, if I need something done, I turn to a Capricorn to get it done because they get the work done for me.
Yeah.
Did you have a particular question tonight?
Yeah, I know that I'm in a 9-year. My birthday is January 5th, 1965. Just want to see what you can tell me, for the next couple of months. Or
what's going to be happening for you?
Yeah. I'm at a crossroad.
Did you have a particular area you were asking about? Love, career?
Well, I already know career. I want to change. Really, just some legal stuff I'm thinking about. Some resolutions, personal
resolutions, legal stuff. I feel like as a Capricorn, you're pretty detail oriented anyway. Just make sure you follow through with that. Make sure everything's signed, everything's researched. If these legal matters or somebody are requiring representation, get representation. Make sure that they understand your point of view. I don't know when this is going to resolve for you, but it doesn't feel like it's going to be much longer. And I do think things may go your way if you follow through on all this stuff. Just use those powers of perception that you have. Make sure if something doesn't feel right, it's probably not right for you. You have great intuition. Use that. And you said you wanted to change your job. I do feel like this summer could be very instrumental in that for you. Capricorns tend to come alive, actually, in the summertime. And a lot of things that happen to Caps happen during the summer months. So look forward to some new opportunities during that time, especially in the career business field. If you're thinking about going back to school or getting additional education, that would be a wonderful time to start looking into it. But I do see some really nice things happening to you coming up this year.
Yeah, I want to move. I'm just hoping that, this deal don't fall through. I mean, that this deal, what I intend with the attorneys is to get the deal that I need and want.
Okay, gotcha. I think that's going to happen.
That's coming up in January.
Okay. Make sure, like I said, just follow through. Make sure the details are all covered, that they don't leave something out. The only thing that could delay this is if somebody forgets to file something or forgets to sign something, that kind of thing. Just be very vigilant about it. And you have that ability. Like I said, you're very detail-oriented, and you take care of that stuff. If they say they did something, follow up and make sure that they did it. And I think that you should have a positive outcome here.
Okay. There's some shady characters I'm dealing with.
Oh, no. Well, you know what? Karma is always at play, and I believe in karma with my whole heart, and what you put out there is going to come back to you threefold. So, this could be the turnaround for them. They may see the error of their ways, so just let's hope for that.
Okay.
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 I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Good luck. Good luck with it all.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Our next one is going to be area code 702.
702.
702,
Hello.
you there? Hi.
Hi.
What's your name and birth date, honey?
Uh-oh, did we lose her?
702, are you there? Going once?
I think we lost her.
All right. Okay, then we'll move on to the next one, which is
okay.
980.
980. Gosh, all these new area codes, I don't know them.
980, you're on the air.
I'm here. Can you hear me, guys?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Hi, Asen. It's Emily. How are you?
Good, Princess. How are you?
I'm good. I talk to Asen on a regular basis for years via King. Miss Emily, and my birth date is March 1st, 1985. I'm a very overly emotional Pisces. And
you know what? Emily, there's no such thing as overly emotional. They are just emotional, and that's the way they are. You take them as they are.
So we got about 3 minutes, honey. You got a direct question for Pamela?
Yes. I would just like to know what my year is going to be like next year as far as education and love, which are two very important aspects of the year to come.
Okay. Emily, can I ask you, do you have somebody in mind for love?
I thought I did at one point, but I'm not really sure. I really don't know.
There seems to be somebody around you right now that really has eyes for you. Maybe, I don't know if this is the person that you're talking about or if this is a secret admirer or somebody. They really seem to keep an eye out on you and are very interested in you.
I know who that is.
What?
I know who it is.
You know who it is? Is this somebody that you would entertain a love relationship with?
Somebody that I already have 1,000,000 times.
Oh, okay. So maybe you want to try something different.
I'm leaning there.
Is this person younger than you?
No, he's older.
He's older. There's somebody younger than you that may have some beginning feelings for you. Not terribly younger, maybe a year or 2 or 3. But
yeah, try 4. I know who that is, too.
You know who that is, too?
Yes.
You don't need my help. You got men coming out your ears.
Oh,
this
Lord.
person, he's very in tune with you. I don't know if you've considered a relationship with him, but sometimes the things that you overlook are really the things that you should pay attention to. This guy seems to really get you, or will be getting you. I don't know if he's said much to you at this point, but there seems to be some strong feelings. Do you happen to know his birthday?
I do know. It's a coworker, somebody I work with. That's why in my mind he's off limits, because I've done that before.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, consider it. I think there may be an opportunity coming up where either he leaves the place where you're working or you find another job or something, but it seems like the doors will open up a little bit, and you might want to consider him at that point. Can I ask what his sign is? Do you know?
I don't know. I honestly don't know about his sign, but the first person that you spoke of is a Leo. His birthday is August the 16th, 1982.
And that's not been very successful, has it?
No, not really.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Leos, they're very, very hard-headed. They're stubborn. They're very, they have a big ego. And if you're not equipped to feed that ego, that turns them off quite a bit. They want to be in charge of everything. There's some arrogance that goes on with Leos. Now, having said that, some of my best friends are Leos. They're wonderful. They're leaders. They're take charge people. But when it comes to a Leo and a Pisces, they're going to hurt your feelings a lot because they speak what they feel and they don't hold back. And their passion and anger can sometimes come out, and that makes you kind of hurt your feelings. And then they don't necessarily want to apologize for it, that type of thing. So I can understand where that maybe has been going back and forth, but you may be drawn to him. So, I really am stuck on this other guy, this younger guy for you. He seems much more in tune with you and willing to compromise on some of these issues and understand that you are a very emotional person. You live in your emotions, and you're very comfortable there, and you need somebody that's going to understand that for you. And I kind of get the feeling that this younger guy might be the one, but of course that's up to you. Really quickly, what was the other question you asked me? Was it education?
My school. Yeah, I'm working full time. I go to school full time, and I'm a single mom. And lately, I've been really, really inundated, just overwhelmed, and I don't want to, fall behind in my schooling.
I get that. Your priority is your children or your child. That's where you come from. That's what water signs are all about. And if you feel that there's anything in your life that's taking away from that, then the natural course is you do feel overwhelmed and like you're not being the very best mother that you can be. Let me ask you, this education that you're doing, is that to forge your career?
Yes, it's nursing.
Oh, okay. You know what? You would probably be one of the best nurses that any hospital or any doctor could ever want. I would encourage you, even if you have to maybe drop down to a part-time basis, keep going with it, because I really think you're going to find this is a great calling for you. You have healer abilities, and you are a bit on the empathic side as well. This all
very much into,
yeah. This all goes into this nursing, medical, health field. I really think you're going to find your ground there, and really you are going to kind of blossom and flourish in this career if you can just stick it out for a little while. How much longer do you have to go before you graduate?
I just started. I'm coming to the end of my first semester.
And it's just kind of getting to you. Is there any way you can take... can you take a break at the end of the semester, or do you have to keep going?
I want to keep going because I've taken so many breaks in the past, and I want to keep going, but I think I'm going to actually scale back.
That might be the best situation. I don't want you to give it up. I really don't. I think that when all is said and done, it's probably going to be the best move you could have made. But if you have to scale it back, scale it back. There's nothing wrong with that. It'll just take you a little bit longer to get there.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate you guys talking to me. I enjoyed the show. You guys have a good night.
Thank you,
have a great night. Good luck with it all, Emma.
Thanks.
Okay. Well, we've reached the end of our show, but Pamela, will you spell out your name for them so they can find you over at Psychic Biz? And, honey, you're going to have to come back. Because our lines are loaded.
I had a great time. I wish I'd have participated earlier in that. I had a few things to add. I'm an animal lover myself, but maybe next time. But, yeah, my name is Pamela Rodriguez, PamelArodriguez, and I can be found. I do work weekends on Psychic Biz and sometimes through the week, but mostly I'm on late morning to early evening throughout the day. So just give me a holler. I'll be glad to help anybody.
And remember to use promo code COFFEE so you'll get a free $10 with her or with me or with Sophia. And you can reach us all over at Psychic Biz. They're running some really great promotions. They treat us great. They treat our clients great. So,
absolutely.
They're just awesome on top of everything. Thank you so much for coming on the show, honey. And
Pamela.
Until next time. Good night, Sophia.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Good night, Asen.